तब मोको कहा पूछना, ये कहे तारतम बीज बचन, फिर किया दृष्ट भय प्रफुल्लित हुआ मन। तब ही नजर सतवस्तु को जाय के पहुँचे धाम, ब्रजरास दो अखंड सूरत पहुँचे तिस ठाम। श्री भागवत शास्त्र की सब खुल गई नजर, विवेक सारी वस्तु का हो गई आत्म फजर। विवेक सारी वस्तु का हो गई आत्म फजर। बोलिए श्री प्राणनाथ प्यारे की जय, सतगुरु महाराज की जय। So we saw Sadguru Sri Devachandraji's relentless pursuit, his loyalty, and his unfazed determination. Despite the bodily discomfort he felt with the fever, the typhoid, he continued, he persevered, and Sri Krishna gave him the darshan the other day on that discourse. As Sri Krishna told him, gave him the answers to his questions, the 5 eternal questions of humanity. Tu kaun aaye te kyun kara kahan hai tero batan nara tu kaun khashma ki. And the last one, tu jagat hai ki need mein. Who are you? Where did you come from? Who are you related to? Why did you come to this world? And the 5th one, are you in the awakened state or are you in the state of sleep? So Sri Krishna answers all his questions. You are the Sundar consort of Paramdham. You came to this world to witness the game of suffering, witness the Mayavi world, the world of illusion, deceitful world, such that you could understand the love and the potency of the Lord Supreme, said Sri Krishna of me. And you came from Paramdham, the eternal abode that is beyond the perishable, to the imperishable, and it is beyond the imperishable. Kshara titita akshara thaya ane aksharatita kehvai apanu jamu ene ghare yahan atkale ke mu pahunchaye. So he revealed the eternal abode of Paramdham to Devachandraji, and he told Devachandraji that you are my consort, so you belong to me or you are related to me eternally, and there are 12,000 souls like you that have descended to the world to witness the game of suffering. So that was the 4th question, and Sri Krishna said, you are in the state of awakening now, since you know who you are, why did you come to this world for? And with the 16-letter mantra that I'm about to give you, that you would witness the leelas of Paramdham and everything would be transparent to you, everything would be revealed to you. So you are in the state of awakening now, which was not the case until you got this darshan. So Sri Krishna answers all the questions that Devachandraji had. So Sri Bhagavata Shastra ki sab khul gayi nazar. As soon as Sri Krishna gave him the 16-letter mantra, and we talked about the glory of that mantra. Mantras chinta mani prokta sunashana mahamanu brahma priyanam sanityam dadate vanashanshaya. It is stated in Padma Purana, one of the Puranas, that the 16-letter mantra is the one that keeps us from all the sufferings in this world, and all our desires are fulfilled if we continue to chant that mantra. So with that mantra in his heart, and Sri Krishna asked Devachandraji that I'm not going to give you the darshan that I'm doing again. So if you have any questions, please ask. So for that, Devachandraji says, oh my Lord, oh Sri Krishna, where will you be? So for that, Sri Krishna says, Tumhare andar akara mein aake baithe hum, I will reside in your heart. So as soon as Sri Krishna gives the 16-letter mantra and resides in the heart of Devachandraji, all the deeper meanings of Bhagavata and this other scriptures that Devachandraji had difficulty understanding previously become crystal clear. Viveka sari vastu ka ho gayi atma fajara, and his heart is illumined, his soul is illumined by the transcendent understanding. So the eternal abode of Paramdham, we can see the leelas of Paramdham now. We can see the 25 Paksha Paramdham, 25 as different parts of Paramdham, if that is the right term. He sees the eternal abode of Ranga Mahal, Akshardham, the river Yamuna, Pukharaji Pahad, Manik Pahad, all the different gardens, all the places that consorts do eternal leelas with Sri Krishna. So everything becomes crystal clear to him. Now all the questions of Devachandraji's are answered. His penance, his hard work finally paid off. So we talked yesterday about all that and the happiness that Devachandraji felt having answers to his questions. And he wants to share that understanding, share that transcendent understanding he is exposed to, he is entitled to. And he finds a barber along the way, as we talked about the other day. And he told the barber that he would pay him more if he could listen to what he had to say. And barber initially accepted, but he could not listen to all that he had to say because he would make barely few pennies. And listening about millions and millions of rules and the stories of Manik Pahad and of the different features of Paramdham, he could not handle it, he could not continue to listen because the transcendent understanding of Tartam needs to be heard by someone worthy of it, otherwise it does not make sense to them. If a five-year-old kid is given the discourse on calculus, the problems of calculus, then he wouldn't understand it at all. She wouldn't understand it at all. So the tartam, the transcendent understanding, is too deep, too symbolic, too detailed for everyone to understand. So Devachandraji looks for someone who could understand, acknowledge, and receive the transcendent understanding embedded in the understanding that Devachandraji is entitled to. उठके आए आसन अपने गृह विश्राम ये बात मैं किनको कहूँ कौन माने इष्टाम. So he comes home and he goes to Kanjivatta one day and tells him that Kanjivatta, the prayers, the penance, the sadhana that I had been doing has been fulfilled because Sri Krishna gave me the darshana and then I have the transcendent understanding now. So this is it. The series, the effort, the rule of me coming to your Bhagavad discourse every day should be over now. So Devachandraji is waiting for someone who is worthy of this transcendent understanding, and then he recalls Gangaji Vai, who goes to Bhagavad discourse with him to Kanjivatta's place, Kanjivatta's temple, Syamji's Mandir. So he was looking for such person, and he got out of the home and he came to an intersection where he met Gangaji Vai. He was looking for someone worthy of listening to the discourse on the understanding that he has, that is Gangaji Vai. And they start talking, and Devachandraji Maharaj started talking about Paramdham, Yamunaji, Ranga Mahal, the stairs reaching to Ranga Mahal, the 100 stairs. He talks about Kunjani Kunjaban and all those different places of Paramdham and the eternal sports of Paramdham. And they start talking and there are women going to fetch water in the well. And then they see them talking, standing at the corner. राह मिने खड़े रहे चर्चा ठाड़े करे हुए पानी भरने जाए पनिहारी फिर आए खड़े देखी सोए. So they come the second time to fetch water, and these two guys are still standing and talking. They do not understand what they're talking about, but they see them talking, standing in the same position. And back then they had to go hours to fetch water, right? The place, the wells would be little far down, and it would take hours for them to fetch water. They would go home, come again. So the second time, Phera dusari bera jaye bharne ये त्यों ही ठाड़े कहे वचन तब वे आपस में बातें करें या कोई भाव थाके न मना. And they wondered. So it's been hours they've been talking, standing in the same position for hours, and they start wondering whether they are not like tired standing for so long. And ये चर्चा के रस में देह की न रखी खबर. They are so engaged in that discussion. Devachandraji Maharaj is talking about the Leelas of Paramdham and giving the descriptions of all the features, all the attributes, all the gardens, all the different parts, the waterfalls and everything, the swings and everything of Paramdham. So they are so lost in that conversation. So finally they come the third time to fetch water, and then they tell him up front, "ए भाई तुम बैठक के क्यों न बातें करो बनाए कब के तुम ठाड़े हो हम तीन बेर फेर आए." So they say that we have come 3 times to fetch water. It's been hours that you guys are talking, standing. So why don't you take a seat and continue your conversation if you still have to continue it? Because it's been few hours they've been talking. So Devachandraji is talking about Paramdham and all that. So Gangaji Bhai asked Devachandraji, we both go to the Bhagavata Discourse. We both go to the Bhagavata Discourse. But I never heard such a discourse or such a description of the eternal abode that you are talking about. तब गंगाजी भाई ने पूछा, हम तुम भागवत सुनते द्वै. We both go for the Bhagavata Discourse to Kanji Bhatta. But the questions, the descriptions that you have, ये प्रश्न तुम कहाँ से ले आवता, तुम मोहे बतावे शोए. Tell me, where do you get all these details from? Tell me, where do you get these deeper underlying questions to Kanji Bhatta and everyone else? Where do you get all this from? गंगाजी भाई को जब देखिया वस्तु का पूरा पात्र तब कछु चले बतावते सत बोए रज मात्र. So Devachandraji begins to talk about the darshana of the Lord Supreme by Kishora Tisundara Swarupi Khelajo Vrindavana, because Devachandraji is giving these details slowly and slowly, because he had already realized that not everyone is worthy of such transcendent understanding, because he knew that when he wanted to share the details of his understanding to a barber. So Gangaji भाई को जब देखिया वस्तु का पूरा पात्र तब कछु चले बतावते सत बोए रजमाते. He begins to give small details gradually. And Gangaji Bhai is also excited to listen to the discourse that Devachandraji has, the details of Paramdham and everything. So they get separated that day, and then Devachandraji has a lot to explain, a lot of understandings that he wants to share. He wants to awaken the souls as he promised, as he was told by Sri Krishna to do. And he wants Gangaji Bhai to come to listen to those understanding, those details. He wants to awaken Gangaji Bhai, so he constantly remembers him. But Gangaji Bhai is a big businessman. He's a renowned businessman of Jamnagar, so he has to go to other countries. His business extends far beyond the borders of India. So his business is in Arab nations like Iraq, present day, like Syria, present day Pakistan, all those countries. So he's a huge, big businessman, a renowned businessman. So he has to go to Arab for his business dealings. And as Devachandraji is remembering him and wishing that Gangaji Bhai comes back to him and listens to his discourse, but Gangaji Bhai has a feeling that he would come after his business trip is over. So one night when he goes to bed, Gangaji Bhai, Lord Sri Krishna comes to his dream and asks him to go to Devachandraji. So Gangaji Bhai thinks that, okay, I think it's a divine call for me to go to Devachandra, but let me finish my business dealing first and then I will go to Devachandraji. So he still decides not to go to Devachandraji yet. And back then, since the ships that would take Gangaji Vai to Arab were not like motor engines, right? They had to rely on the wind. So he could not go the next day. And again he waits for the ships to go to Arab, and there is no such things happening. So again, Sri Krishna comes to the dream of Gangaji Vai and tells that it's about time. Why are you not listening to me? So eventually, Gangaji Vai realizes that it must be that Devachandraji wants to see me really. That's for that Sri Krishna is giving me the darshan again and again and again. And Gangaji Vai goes to Devachandraji. And Devachandraji begins. He becomes so happy because Gangaji Vai, he feels, is the soul or the consort of Paramdham. Because in the Bhagavata Discourse, he was among the very few who would be so diligent, so disciplined to listen to the discourse. And as soon as Gangaji Vai comes to Devachandraji, Devachandraji gradually talks about his past, his pursuits. He talks about his birth, his questions at an early age, his pursuits in Umarkot, in Kutch, in Vojnagar, his meeting with all the saints and sages, and the answers that he got from them in regards to the questions that he had. He gradually talks about his history. As he finds Gangaji Vai more and more interested to know about Devachandraji's pursuits, Devachandraji started talking about the divine darshana of Sri Krishna and how the transcendent understanding of Tartham was revealed to him, the divine mantra, the 16-letter mantra, and what Sri Krishna told him about awakening 12,000 souls like him. So Devachandraji said, "Hum aaye hai itne kama, Brahma srishti lene karadama." The purpose of my coming into this world is to awaken these 12,000 souls in Paramdham. Gangaji Vai was surprised. Gangaji Vai was surprised that Lord Supreme, Aksharat Sri Krishna, gave him darsana and is residing within him. He accepted Devachandraji as the Lord Supreme himself. Yet, he was susceptible. He was doubtful of the potential of awakening all these 12,000 souls. He said, "Moha jala pura tikha ati jora nakha anguri ko le jaye tora taranga bade mera se hoye ita khada na rehne paave koe lehre par lehre mare ghera mahe de tava mariya fera." Gangaji Vai asked Devachandraji. He expressed his doubts. He said, "The forgetfulness in this world, the maya, the deceitfulness, the suffering in this world, the maya is so pervasive that no one can cross over this and no one can be awakened in this world because everybody is busy in their worldly affairs, in their worldly pursuits. Maya is so powerful. If you give a finger, it will swallow your whole body. And the waves of Maya, the waves of attachment, the wave of sufferings come so frequently that one cannot avoid those waves. Everybody is running after wealth. Everybody is running after prestige. Everybody is running after attention. In such a world, how Sadguru Devachandraji, how can you awaken all these 12,000 souls? Isn't it true that we are all lost in this world, in pursuit of material glory, in pursuit of wealth, in pursuit of material possessions? Isn't that what we are all after? So Gangaji Bhai was sure that Sadhguru's intention were right. Sadhguru wanted to do that. He was okay with it. But he was doubtful of such possibility that all these 12,000 souls could be awakened. For that, Devachandraji said, Sri Krishna, the Lord Supreme, has assured me that he would help me awaken these souls. He would send all these consorts to me, and I will awaken them with the knowledge, with the understanding that I have of Bhagavata in all these scriptures. And on top of that, Sri Krishna would be performing miracles. He would come and eat with these consorts, eat with these Sundarsats coming to the discourse. He would give them things. They would truly believe in the existence of the divine. So when Sri Krishna himself performs miracles, and these souls get to listen to the discourse that I'll offer with the transcendent understanding, with the crystal clear understanding of the world and beyond, then it would be possible. Gangaji Bhai feels that if Sri Krishna himself appears, performs miracles, and Devachandraji gives the discourse of Param Dham and everything as if it is his real experience, it probably will be possible that all these souls will be awakened. After all these discussions, Gangaji Bhai asked Devachandraji to initiate him into the faith, give him the Tata mantra. And Devachandraji gives him the Tata mantra because he knows that he is one of the consorts of Param Dham. And the Jagani Leela, the Leela of awakening, starts with Gangaji Bhai. Pahle dina Islam mein Gangaji Bhai dhare kadama, and he becomes the first disciple of Sadguru Sri Devachandraji and the first follower of Sri Krishna Pranami Dharma Nijananda sect. As Gangaji Bhai becomes the disciple, gradually more and more people begin to come to his discourse, Devachandraji Maharaj's discourse. And as more people join the discourse and more people are gradually initiated into Sri Krishna Pranami faith, the house becomes smaller for discourse. In one day, Gangaji Bhai asked Devachandraji to come to his home because he's a huge businessman, renowned businessman, he's a wealthy businessman, so he has space for hundreds of Sundarsats to fit in and listen to the discourse. So Devachandraji says, if that is what you truly wish, if that is what you truly want, I would not mind that, because if you have such a devotion, such faith in God, faith in your spiritual master, faith in me, then your home would be a temple. Your home would be divine, and I would not mind coming to your home. So Devachandraji starts going to residing in Gangaji Bhai's place and start giving the discourse. अपने घरों लिए बुलाए सेवा करी बहुत चित्त ल्याए. And Gangaji Bhai starts serving Devachandraji with all his heart and soul. The service of his spiritual master, the service of the Lord Supreme in Sadguru Sri Devachandraji. Devachandraji has two kids, Bihariji and Jamunaji, one son and one daughter. So Devachandraji's wife is Lilbai. He is married to Lilbai, as we talked about a few days ago in our discourse, how he didn't want to get married because he said he is already married to the Lord. He already got the mantra. His soul is related to God, but his parents forced him to get married. One day, his wife, Lilbai, got the darshan of Sri Krishna. As we said, Sri Krishna would be performing miracles himself. One day, the home of Gangajivai, that is known as Raj Mandir, the place where Devachandraji is, Lilbai had the darshan of Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna told him that tomorrow would be the day I'll take you to Paramdham. So she will have to leave the world to the eternal abode. And she shares that news to Devachandraji. And Devachandraji asks, why don't you ask Sri Krishna, in your absence, who is going to take care of our two kids, Bihariji and Jamunaji? If he's going to take care of that, I'm okay with you leaving this world. Because he's so busy, so engrossed in revealing the secrets of Tartam to all the listeners. He's so busy in his discourse. He doesn't have time to take care of his kids. So he asked Lilbai to ask Lord Supreme Sri Krishna, who's going to take care of these kids. And she goes to Sri Krishna. And Sri Krishna said, Gangajivai himself would take care of our kids, take care of your kids. So she comes to Devachandraji and shares the same news. Sri Krishna said, Gangajivai would be taking care of our kids, so you don't have to worry. So Devachandraji asked, as you know that I cannot get the divine darshan of Sri Krishna again, because he already told me that the third one and the final darshana was the last one. I was not going to have a divine vision of Sri Krishna any longer. Devachandraji asked Lilbai, can you ask Sri Krishna to give darshana to all these Sundarsats, including myself? Lilbai goes to Sri Krishna and asks the same. Sri Krishna says, it is not what you truly want. Someone is guiding you. Someone is telling you to tell me all these things. Sri Krishna doesn't want to appear in front of Devachandraji because that would be against what he promised earlier, that I won't give you darshan again. So Lilbai grabs Sri Krishna by his dress and brings him in front of Devachandraji, and all the Sundarsatji got to have a divine glimpse of Sri Krishna. And Lilbai leaves this material world and be with Lord Supreme in Paramdham. Devachandraji Maharaj is busy in the discourse of Bhagavata, revealing all the secrets and giving details of Paramdham to all the listeners, all the Sundarsats, all the consorts. Whenever a new person comes to the Bhagavata discourse, that gives Sadguru Sri Devachandraji immense happiness. And Sri Krishna is sending all these consorts to him. As soon as he sees them, they would see the consort, they would see the spirit in them, the spirit of Paramdham, the consorts of Paramdham in them. And hereby, the sister-in-law of Gangajivai prepares food for all the listeners of Devachandraji Maharaj's discourse. Devachandraji once says, hereby, You prepare food for me and all the Sundarsats. Why don't you do the same for Lord Sri Krishna? Why don't you prepare these delicious foods for Sri Krishna as well? Hereby says, is it possible that Sri Krishna would come and savor the food that I make? Is it possible? Devachandraji says, if you do that with pure heart and call Sri Krishna, if you meditate upon his divine form, of course he will come and accept the food that you prepare. Hereby believed in the words of Devachandraji Maharaj and prepares a seat for Devachandraji, prepares a curtain in between Devachandraji and prepares another seat for Sri Krishna, calls upon Sri Krishna and has 2 plates of food, one for Devachandraji Maharaj and one for Sri Krishna. She meditates, she calls, invokes the arrival of Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna comes in his divine form and accept the food. Sri Krishna, enjoying the food, says, the salt in this curry is a little too much. In his sweet voice, Sri Krishna says, and enjoys. He licks his fingers. Oh, hereby, the food is so delicious. I'm enjoying every piece of it. So, Hirvai is so happy to have Sri Krishna in there. And from that moment on, every day, she prepares the food for Sri Krishna. She has 1 seat allocated for Devachandraji Maharaj, 1 seat allocated for Sri Krishna. And when she calls, Sri Krishna is there and then enjoying the food. So, as she does that, and Sri Krishna comes every day to have the food that she prepares, she feels a little ego developing inside her. Because I get to see Sri Krishna. Sadguru Sri Devachandraji does not get to see him. I'm the one preparing food for Sri Krishna. So one day, she calls Sri Krishna alone to have the food. Always she prepares food for Devachandraji Maharaj and Sri Krishna and calls them both, and they enjoy the food. One day she says, why don't I call Sri Krishna first? And once Sri Krishna eats, I can call Sadguru Sri Devachandraji Maharaj for the food, for the meal. Devachandraji Maharaj, Sadguru Maharaj realizes that the ego is there in the heart of Hirbai. So he extends the timing of his discourse that day. And here, Hirbai in the kitchen, she calls Sri Krishna, she calls Sri Krishna, she calls. But Sri Krishna does not show up for the meal. As soon as the discourse is over, Devachandraji comes for the meal. And with Devachandraji, Sri Krishna comes as well. She asks Lord Sri Krishna, I called you for so long. Why did it take so long for you to come for the meal? Sri Krishna said, I was enjoying the discourse so much. I was in the discourse, so I could not come earlier. That moment on, she realized that Sri Krishna and Sadguru are not different. Amatuma eka vatana ki apani ruha nahi doesha is Mahamati Prannaji. We are all the souls of Paramdham. We are not different. We just have different identities, different bodies. But oh Sundar Shaji, we have one soul. We are all parts of the Lord Supreme. So hereby realizes that Sadguru and Lord Sri Krishna are the same. Sri Krishna resides in the heart of Devachandraji Maharaj. Dear Sundar Saji, this way the eternal Leelas of Paramdham keep happening in Nautanpuri, where Devachandraji gives the discourse. श्री देवचंद्र जी की अमल में साधको सुख हुआ अंग, तिनकी चर्चा सुनते मावत नहीं उमंग. The discourse of Devachandra ji is so beautiful, so serene. The feeling, the divine feeling that these Sundar Sajis have is hard to explain. The Leelas of Paramdham is explained so beautifully by Devachandra ji that all these Sundar Sajis do not feel like going back home. They are awakened by this transcendent teaching. They know that Devachandra ji has experienced all what he is saying, the divine bliss. Devachandra ji ki amal mein shantako sukha hua manga. Tinaki charcha sunate mavata nahi umanga. They are not serious. They want to listen more. They want to be a part of this discourse. They want this to continue for hours and hours. They don't want to go home. Devachandra ji Maharaj is happier that the number of Sundar Sadji coming to his discourse continues to grow. And it so happens that the glory of discourse spreads across Jamnagar. So some people are not happy with it. And there would always be people who are jealous of you, jealous of your happiness, jealous of your progress, jealous of your success. And they would try to find a way to pull your leg, criticize you, undermine your happiness. And it so happened that there was a chugalkhor, a talebearer, one spreading gossips. The word is called chugalkhor in this Beetak discourse. So the chugalkhor, the talebearer, finds his friends and he goes to the police chief of Jamnagar and tells him all about what happens in Gangaji Bhai's place. And it was 400 years ago, nearly 400 years ago. And there are certain norms, certain customs, certain traditions, and women are not usually allowed to go to the discourses, religious discourses. They are limited to their household chores. And in the discourse of Sadguru Sri Devachandra Ji Maharaj, there are both male and female alike. They enjoy the teachings, they enjoy the discourse of Devachandra Ji. They sing the glory of the Lord, they sing the glory of Sri Krishna, they dance as if there is no feeling of body, there is no material identity in their hearts. They all feel that they are the souls of Paramdham. So they enjoy dancing and singing and listening to Devachandra Ji Maharaj Sadguru's discourse. So this talebearer goes to the police chief and tells him that in Gangaji Bhai's place, both men and women stay up all night. I don't know what they do, but this is not the good image of this nation, of this town. So can you send somebody to look into the matter? Devachandra Ji Maharaj is so engaged in the discourse. So the police chief sends 2 constables to look into the matter, and the talebearer, the chugalkhor, in the evening shows them the house in which the discourse happens, the Gangaji Bhai's home. And he walks away saying that that is the house. You guys go find out what is happening there. It seems like whatever happening is not the right thing, because men and women singing and dancing all through the night, that is not a right thing. So can you take a look at it? And then he walks away. These 2 police constables start walking towards that house. They walk and walk and walk and walk all through the night. It feels that the house is coming closer, the house is coming closer, but they never get to the house. They never get to the house. The one constable reaches dozens of kilometers away to a different city, and the other one keeps circumambulating the well, the water well, close to that house. It just circles around the house, circles around the house, circles around the house. Both of them do not get to Gangaji Bhai's place. They do not get to find what was happening there because it was the divine discourse. Like I said, not everyone is entitled to listening to this discourse, the transcendent understanding. I told you about Lord Mahesha when he was revealed with the eternal knowledge, Maheshwar Tantram. Then he starts sharing that with Goddess Parvati, but she falls asleep. She falls asleep because the patrata is needed, the worthiness is needed to be able to listen to this discourse. So they do not get to meet these men and women, these divine souls of Paramdham. One reaches 20 kilometers away in a different town. The other one finds himself making rounds around the water well. They become so upset. They become so mad with the talebearer that they go to the king the next day and tell him that if they could, they would kill the talebearer. The king sends his representative to Gangaji Bhai, offering his apologies because he sent people to figure out what was going on. Gangaji Bhai shares the same news to Devachandraji Maharaj. And Devachandraji Maharaj realizes that the work of spreading the knowledge of Tatham, the work of spreading this awakening, the work of awakening should not be done from somebody's place, personal place, from personal space. It should be a temple where everyone can go. It should be from a public place. So Devachandraji tells Gangaji Bhai, I should leave the place. Gangaji Bhai becomes sad. He says, "O Sadguru, O Dhamdhani, I don't want you to go away from me. If I was not serving you right, please let me know. I'm ready to give up anything to have you here in my house." Devachandraji said, the work of awakening, the promise that I made to Sri Krishna, that would be fulfilled if I do it from a temple, from a public place. So Gangaji Bhai is a wealthy businessman. He has a vast amount of land. So he gives a piece of land that he has close to his home and tells Sadguru Maharaj that he can start the discourse from there. Devachandraji Maharaj leaves the house of Gangaji Bhai and builds a temple. That place is known as Navatanpuri Dham, the Adya Peeth of Sri Krishna Pranami faith, the first pilgrimage site of Sri Krishna Pranami faith. In 1687, in the year 1687, in English calendar, it is 1630, month of Kartik, in the full moon day, in Chaturdasi Tithi, Devachandraji establishes Sri Pansnavatanpuri Dham. Boliye Sri Pansnavatanpuri Dham ki jai. It is the place where the awakening of Sundar Saji begins. The first pilgrimage. That's why it's called the Adyapit of Sri Krishna Pranami faith. Mahamati Prannaji, singing the glory of this pilgrimage, says, Pahle bija uday hua puri jahan nautanna, saba puriyon mein uttama hui jo dhanna dhanna. There are so many pilgrimages. Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Kashi, Avantika, Dwarika. There are so many pilgrimage sites which are believed to grant salvation or moksha. But for Sundar Shas, the one with most significance is Nautanpuri Dham, because it is where the transcendent understanding of Tartam is revealed to Devachandraji. It is where Devachandraji starts awakening the souls, the pilgrimage. So Devachandraji establishes the Nautanpuri Dham, the holy pilgrimage site for Sri Krishna Pranami faith. And more people join the discourse of Devachandraji Maharaj. As soon as Devachandraji Maharaj sees someone coming, he sees the soul, he sees the spirit in them, he sees the consort in them, and tells him, you are this consort of Paramdham, and begins giving them the Nijanam mantra that he received from Sri Krishna himself, and start awakening their souls. Start telling them about Braja, the Leelas of Braja and Ras, and how the creation itself unfolded, how they found themselves in this world in the present state. Everything is revealed to them. And the discourse is so captivating, this discourse is so magical that everyone feels like he or she should be listening to the discourse for hours and hours, and nobody wants to go home. Such is the discourse. On tomorrow's discourse, we will talk about the divine union of Sadguru Sri Devachandraji Maharaj and Mahamati Swami Sri Prannaji, the two leading souls of Paramdham, Sundarbai and Indravati. Indravati, who would be later known by the term Prannaji, the Lord of my soul, Prannaji. The divine union of these two souls and how that unfolds. As you might all be aware that Prannaji takes the lead of awakening all the souls after Sadguru Sri Devachandraji leaves his material body. Sadguru Sri Devachandraji awakens 313 consorts of Paramdham. In Prannaji's life, hundreds, thousands of Sundar Sajis are awakened across different countries. In his journey of awakening, he finds himself in Arab nations. He travels almost 20,000 kilometers on foot through the seas, 5 countries that he visits, awakening the lost souls. Hindus are awakened. People believing in Vaishnava traditions are awakened. Few Muslims are awakened to that divine abode of Paramdham. The meeting happens tomorrow. The divine union of Sundarbai and Indravati, the divine union of Syamaji Maharani, and the divine union of Prannaji, the Lord Supreme, would be the topic of tomorrow's discussion.